Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. We're on episode 13 of RWBY Volume 8, and it's just this episode and the next one. And there's still I honestly, if you had told me at the start of this volume, if you had told me that by this point we would have already activated the Relic of Creation and we would have had a resolution to the whole mantle situation down below, I wouldn't have believed you. I've been like, nah, we're not going to resolve that this volume. But it seemingly is that we have. I like the Relic of Creation. I like that the creation and knowledge, I like that these two entities are kind of foils for each other. They're very, very similar. It makes me very curious to know if the Beacon Relic and Vacuo's Relic have similar kind of entities with them. It would make sense if they did, if there's just four omniscient genie-like presences with them. Although one's a crown and one's the sword. So I'm curious how that goes, if there are spirits inside of them or if those items are actually just held by a person. That would be interesting to know. So, but I'm assuming that with the next volume, we might get some more insight into that. Or maybe by the end of this volume. I don't know. But the ominous don't fall, and then several people have pointed out, my brother included, he was like, okay, so you realize that in the opening they fall. And I was like, oh, they do, don't they? I was like, oh no, is that foreshadowing? I really think, if I had to make a prediction, I think Cinder's going to fall through. I think Cinder's going to fall. And the title of this episode is Worthy. And that only makes me think of Watts' monologue to her a few episodes ago where he's like, you can't just be powerful. You have to be smart. You can't just be deserving. He's like, you can't just want something. You have to be worthy of it. And he's like, you think that you are owed all this power, but are you worthy of having it? And so the title of this episode and tying back to Watts' monologue, I feel like this episode is going to have a lot to do with Cinder. And she was the last thing we saw in the last episode. So I don't know. I really don't like the idea of if people fall, then do they just end up in limbo? Do they just end up falling forever? Is that just like a thing? I don't know. But seemingly everybody's moving to Vacuo, which also has me kind of concerned because Tyrion and Mercury have been over there and they've been none the wiser to what's going on. Salem is not back yet, but I predict that by the end of episode 14 she's going to be back because even though this is all taking place in a short amount of time, I feel like she's going to come back and it's going to be a thing. So I don't know, y'all. The last two episodes, usually the episode before the finale with RWBY is where shit goes down. If things are going to happen, it's going to be in the penultimate episode. And then usually with RWBY, the last episode is kind of the climax has happened and now it's dealing with the aftermath. Or at least that's how the last several volumes have been. Maybe they'll change things up. I don't know. But y'all, we still got Ironwood to deal with. And he's going to be ticked off. We got Winter to deal with, and there's all these loose threads that I'm like, are we gonna tie them up? Last episode did a really convenient job of tying everything up. Did a convenient job of that. To the point where I was like, okay, the plot threads are getting, ended, and we're tying some loose ends up to try to make it to the end of the volume, and I appreciate that. I feel like this whole magic portal to Vacuo, I'm not saying it's a cop-out. I like the way that they've executed it. I was just like, it's one of those things where you have a theory of how something's going to go down. Like, I had a theory they were going to use Fiona's semblance to, like, gather everybody up in her palm and then get them out of Mantle. But this works. It's just one of those things where you get kind of all this hype built up on your own theories, and then when they're disproved, instantly you're like, oh, okay, we're not doing that. So, but it's fine. So, I'm excited. I don't know. It's almost 19 minutes. I will say I've really enjoyed that this entire volume has been consistently 17 to 19 minutes the whole time. It takes you back to volumes 1 and 2 and it was like 5-minute episodes. How far we've come. But yeah, Worthy. I'm so curious. But anyway, we are going to see what happens in episode 13 of RWBY. We're going to find out here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh my gosh. Oh, oh my gosh. Um, um, yeah. What the hell? Okay, Ruby, cool, great. I was expecting us to just, this this lead up to the finale is probably my favorite that we've had for RWBY in a long time because um it went there. It went there. The show went there. I'm Yang. What? Where's? I thought, but Penny can't fly. I mean, she could use her maiden powers. I thought that she was gonna go after Yang and. Oh, uh, if Yang dies, I would they do that? Would they go there? But they didn't establish what happened if you fall, and Brocious was really ominous about it, but it wasn't established what would happen. So, what's going to happen? Oh my gosh, I'm floored. So Ruby's still fighting Neo. Winter and Blake are fighting Cinder. Cinder, you just had to mess everything up. And Cinder, it feels there's no way that Salem is going to let Cinder live now. That is the final nail in the coffin. She used the last question, and it was so pointless because I feel like they could have found out that information. I don't know how they would have found out all the information about what went down, about how RWBY was doing things. I don't know how that happened, how that would have gone down, but it seems like such a waste of a question because they just learned what the plan was. But I feel like they still could have gone and messed stuff up even without knowing the plan. And Salem wanted that last question to find out where the beacon relic is. Well, it's gone now. They gotta wait 100 years. Jin's done. We can't use Jin anymore. So the last question's been used. The lamp is useless for 100 years, other than to gather all the relics together and summon the gods. Watts with the apple, it sounded like such a Disney movie when they came into it, like all this happy fairy tale like music when they came in and just trashed the control room for Watts. And of course he gets the apple like Snow White and eating it just like freaking Barbossa from Pirates of the Caribbean, just sitting there just eating his green apple. And she's like, you deserve this, Watts. I'm like, no, Watts is going to double cross her so bad. He is going to tell Salem because he knows that she's used the question. Watts is going to double cross her so mad. It's going to happen when she comes back. And Ironwood just killed Jacques. Just straight up murdered him. Like, Jacques' gone. And I'm wondering if he's going to tell Winter that while they're fighting. If he's going to tell Winter that he killed him. I figured at some point Winter and Ironwood would fight, but Ironwood crying over the fact that he has to fight Winter, like his friend and most valuable soldier. And of course, just like the OP, the last thing that we have Crow versus Harriet, two people that clearly care deeply for Clover. And I have a feeling that's all going to come into play next episode. And if Crow says that he loved Clover, I'm going to be like, come on, show. What are you doing? What are you doing? A part of me thinks that if the only way to save Yang at this point is, a part of me is like, what if Cinder does die and the power goes to Yang instead? The power of the maiden goes to Yang. Because maybe Yang's the last person that Cinder thinks of in that moment. I don't know. Or maybe Penny dies and the power goes to Yang. I don't know. I refuse to believe that Yang is dead. I refuse to believe it. If maybe she shows up in another vault, maybe she shows up on the other side of the world and she has to meet back up with Raven and they're going to be away from Yang for a long time. Maybe that's what happens. I refuse to believe that Barbara's character is dead. I refuse to believe it. No, sorry, I am in stark denial. No body, no death. Oh! And I didn't even put two and two together that they did say to Ambrosius a one-way ticket to Vacuo. Once everybody gets back, they can't go back. And so that means Oscar and Rin are stuck. And Jean didn't technically go through the Vacuo portal. He'd been helping everybody get to the Vacuo portal, so he's still there. And Nora's still there. And now Oscar, Rin, and Emerald have to fight the Grimm in this desert sandstorm. And I'm hoping that Sun and them come in to help. But that just floors me. And there's no time to think about Yang at this point because you're in the middle of a battle. But Cinder, you just screwed everything up. A bloody migraine indeed. A bloody migraine. Cinder. Oh my gosh, that just floors me, guys. That just floors me, and the whole thing with Harriet, like, you knew Harriet, clearly her character was built up from the start as being like, I don't care about my teammates, they're expendable, but she really did like Clover a lot. And the fact that he's gone has really hurt her. And it's like, okay, you're just projecting your anger and your grief out and just being stubborn and defiant. Like, you're just projecting that. And Vine finally is on the same page. Like, maybe we shouldn't do that. But the bomb's armed. Like, the payload is armed. And they're fighting in the air. For some reason, I just imagine... Because Crow can turn into a bird. So Crow can probably get out of there. And probably fly up to Robin if she's in the other ship. They can probably escape. But I have a feeling that, like, Vine and Harriet are going to die with the bomb. I don't know, guys. Oh, they've set all this stuff up. Usually, we have most of the stuff taken care of by this episode. And then the finale is just cutting all of our loose ends and tying everything up. But with this episode, everybody's split up again. Things are not good. Yang, I'm still floored by that. I did not see that coming. And Cinder, you done goofed. Like, Cinder, what are you thinking, girl? There is no way you've just ruined Salem's chance to get the beacon relic. There is no way she's going to let her live. There is no way. She is going to transfer that maiden power from Cinder to Neo or someone else. There is no way. Girl, you just dug your own grave. And Watts isn't going to defend her, because he knows what that's like. Oh, that episode was so intense. And I'm floored, guys. I'm speechless. I can't wait to talk to my brother about it. I can't wait to talk to him about it. And Ozpin knows what's up, and they're trapped. And it reminded me again about Jurassic World, like when the thing comes and starts picking off all of the people in the park. Like, that's what this reminded me of. So I'm hoping Team Sun or something comes through next episode to help them out in the desert, or at least help fight off the Grimm, because Rin's energy is pretty much spent. Like I said, this season finale has probably been one of my favorites for RWBY. Like, the penultimate episode. We're not even at the season finale. Next week, oh my god. It's gonna be crazy, y'all. It's gonna be. And this was called Worthy. So, I don't know what the next episode's gonna be, but... Oh, and then Atlas is falling, and Winter and Ironwood are still there. I just want Crow and Robin to fly in and to rescue Winter and get her out of there. And let Ironwood just go. Because at this point, he killed Jacques. He's killed all these people. He won't... And like Winter said, he's an enemy of Atlas now. It's like, Ironwood, you dug your grave too. So I'm like, man. Okay. So there's that. But yeah, I hope you guys like this reaction. There's a lot to think about. I have a feeling I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this episode to try to catch things, but oh, y'all, crazy stuff. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Please feel free to comment down below. But yeah, next week is the final episode of Volume 8. It'll be episode 14 of RWBY. We'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to y'all again soon with the last episode of the volume for RWBY. Bye.